It's the evil and the ugliness of people's hearts these days is everywhere.
This is Franky Rose's Think Tank. Here's your host, Franky Rose.
Good morning. Good to see you all. Happy Sunday. Back to work tomorrow. So stay in bed if you can. I'm an early riser. Can't change it, although I try. So we are going to be talking about Mica Miller. She was a pastor's wife in South Carolina, and there's an investigation going on right now into her passing. Her husband, soon to be ex-husband, said that she unalived herself at a national park type area that was quite a ways away, a few hours at least. I can't remember how many miles, 70 some, I do believe. So an hour or so. Well, people that know Mica say there is no way that she would have done this to herself, although her pastor husband said that she had been struggling with unaliving herself for quite some time. People just were not aware of this. I don't know, guys. I don't know. So we're going to take a look at a few different things here. So he literally did stand up and say that his mentally troubled wife passed away by unaliving. And again, many people are refusing to believe this. They actually had a protest outside of that pastor's church earlier today. JLR was there. So we'll see how this goes and how today goes, because I might just stream that as well. So let's take a look here. This came out yesterday. So this is Pastor John Paul Miller, and he runs the Solid Rock at Market Commons Church in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So police in North Carolina are investigating the passing of Mica Miller, the wife of Pastor John Paul Miller of Solid Rock at the Market Common in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, who was found with a bullet wound to her top end at Lumber River State Park in Robson County last Saturday. Her widower comes under a barrage of suspicion online. Major Damian McLean of Robinson County Sheriff's Office told ABC 15 News that officers are gathering information from people who knew the late 30. She was only 30 years old. Pastor's wife, to understand how she actually died. Last Sunday, just hours after her body was found, Pastor Miller announced to his congregation in a viral video that his wife died by unaliving herself, even though investigators have not yet confirmed an official COD. After the announcement, this is literally what he says. After the announcement, I'm going to ask that you leave the church quietly and don't talk about the announcement here in the building, please, if you can. So how weird is that? My request to you is that you continue to come to church and serve for the next little bit, because I'm taking a bit of a break and I don't want to have to worry about the church. My break may be a few days or a few weeks. I don't know, he said. He says that he got a call late the previous night that Mica had passed away. Yeah, it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina, he added, noting that a funeral will be held for her at that church at 3 p.m. on May 5th. So 3 p.m. today. I'm just kind of going on adrenaline right now. So, adrenaline, isn't that when you're overly excited? Don't you get adrenaline? So, y'all pray for my kids and everybody. Y'all knew she wasn't well mentally and she needed medicine. That was hard to get to her. So, I'm sure there'll be more details to come out. So, just keep our family in your prayers. Now, remembering that they had been separated when he's coming out with all of this. Some members of Mica Miller's family, like her sister, Sierra Francis, quickly rejected the idea that she did this to herself and suggested that she was being abused. There's a lot of talk already going on, so I want to set the record straight. Our sister, Mica Miller, passed away yesterday. Please do not listen to false stories being shared about her. Mica was God fearing, joyful, loving woman who did not deserve the abuse she endured. If you hear anything else about this from anyone other than her family, please question it. Reach out to her siblings or parents. Keep our family in your prayers. And if you have any information that needs to be shared, please contact one of us. Please respect us in this time and honor her memory with joy as she is no longer suffering. Hashtag justice for Mica. Speculation about Mica Miller's death has spread like wildfire on social media. Some critics openly questioned why Pastor Miller was in the pulpit hours after his wife's death. Court records cited by the New York Post showed that Mica Miller filed for divorce from her husband in October of 2023, but the reasons were not stated. The case was eventually dismissed in February, but a few days later, Pastor Miller filed for separate support and maintenance. What? Seeking financial support. Mica Miller would file a similar support in April. A hearing was scheduled for June 5th. What? He was asking for child support? In an interview with the Christian Post on Friday, Pastor Miller admitted that his relationship with Mica began with adultery. He said they were both previously married and cheated on their spouses, and many people left his church, forcing them to start over. He said that Mica got married in 2017, shortly after she underwent surgery for an undisclosed reason and was diagnosed with bipolar 2, schizophrenic, and dependent personality disorder. Since 2017, says Pastor Miller, they've been trying to manage his wife's mental illness with lithium and significant support. As long as she took her medication, Pastor Miller said his wife would be fine. Mica, however, had a roller coaster relationship with medication. She recalled how he recalled how she would complain about the medication that would make her gain weight or cause her to slur. And earlier this year, the wife of a well meaning pastor friend who had no understanding of mental illness offered to pray and believe that Mica Miller's mental illness would go away. That incident, he said, stuck with Mica, and she started to believe she no longer needed the medication. I took care of her through every time she went to the mental institute. I took care of her every time she stopped taking her lithium. I would never expose this stuff of her if I didn't have to know. But every time she tried to delete herself, I would be there. I would literally sometimes pick her up physically, put her in the truck, and take her to the hospital, Miller said with a slight crack in his voice. The pastor said he took his wife to probate court a few weeks ago to get her hospitalized, but the court stated she wasn't a danger to others, so she could not be forced. Nobody believed me when I told them that she was having a psychotic break. She would have never left. She would have never done what she did. They wouldn't believe me. I have 48 text messages that I sent out saying she needs her lithium. Somebody help me, please. And no one believed me, the grieving pastor said. Everybody thought I was a demon for trying to take her to probate court and get her put in the hospital. I told her family I have text messages over and over. I told her family she needs medication. They told me I'm crazy. She doesn't need any medications. I next messaged her, but they sent her saying, if it makes you fat or makes you slur. But they sent her saying, it makes you fat or makes you slur, or you shouldn't take your meds, or you just need something holistic. You don't need what the doctors say. Though there were some things that Pastor Miller said that were discussed with his church, the depth of his struggle with his wife's mental illness felt quite lonely at times. Nobody believed me. Nobody understood mental illness. She was diagnosed by the doctors for the past 7 years as bipolar 2, schizophrenic, and dependent personality disorder. So what we're going to do actually is we're going to pop over and take a look at Mica Miller's Facebook profile. And let's see what she has to say her own self. Just a beautiful young woman. Mica Miller, yesterday at church, we learned about what it means to bless someone. If today was the last day of this world as we know it, I'd like to use it to bless every one of you. She very much felt a pull to go to Africa and help out that culture. Okay. This is just fast.
Be born into this country where we have. I just wanted to say that I am so happy to be born into this country where we have job opportunities that are better than what I've witnessed in other countries. I remember driving past a man sitting on a giant rock, and he had like a chisel and a hammer. And I asked the people that we were with, what is that man doing? And they said that is his job. He finds a big boulder in the wild, and he beats it into littler rocks, and then beats those rocks into littler rocks. And then he bags up all the rocks and he puts them in a wheelbarrow and he takes them into town and he tries to sell them for landscape, for construction, whatever. So if you have a job that is better than that, be so thankful today.
Yes. Biggest honor of my life to be on stage with Kane. Start over.
Darkness, he is all I see. Come and rest your bones when I'm out and down Sunday morning, but I never worry.
Wow, guys, what a voice. What a voice. Okay.
I've had a lot of women that have reached out to me about situations of abuse. And I just want to tell you what a lot of people have told me lately and reminded me, because I think I forgot. I knew, but I pushed it in the back of my head just because of my situation. But you are the bride of Christ. Before anybody else's bride, male or female, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what gender you are. Abuse is abuse. And you are the bride of Christ. And
I find this one so very interesting because, of course, the pastor is saying that there was no abuse in any form, right? And that she was just so, I mean, I haven't seen one darn thing yet that is looking like she is unbalanced.
And my Bible says that he took all the abuse you could think of for you so that you didn't have to live that life of slavery and bondage and pain. Jesus took it all for you. So you don't have to stay in a abusive relationship, whether that's sexual, whether that's somebody forcing you to take illegal drugs or alcohol abuse or physical abuse, psychological abuse, making you think that this is all your fault, or you're a bad mom, or you're a bad wife, or you're a bad husband, or you're...
She's speaking volumes right now, is she not?
You're not giving it your all when you know you are. God hates divorce, but why? According to everybody I've asked and the scriptures that I've found, it's because it hurts people. But does abuse hurt people? How do you think God feels about that? So I want to remind you, like a bunch of people have been reminding me lately, that I'm God's bride first. And even an earthly spouse who's a good spouse, when they know that their bride is being hurt, just imagine what an earthly spouse does. What do you think your heavenly spouse does when you're the bride of Christ and he sees his bride going through abuse and hurt? What do you think he thinks about that? So, encouragement in all this is you are the bride of Christ first before anybody else's. And he's got you. And he sees you. And he loves you.
Wow, eh? What a beautiful woman. Underneath it says, rest in peace, Mica Miller. I wish more people would have spoke up. My heart aches right now. You will forever be missed and never forgotten. The truth always comes to light, beautiful woman. And I know you're up there singing and dancing pain-free. It's amazing. No matter what you were going through, you were always a shining light for so many. And now you will continue to shine up there until we meet again. Oh, Lordy, guys.
Thought of something as I'm listening to a song called Trouble by Kane. And I just wanted to give you a dare today. I dare you to do something either good for yourself or someone else, because like the second greatest command, love your neighbor as yourself. And it makes the enemy so mad, because like when Job in his misery like took time to pray for his friend, or the woman gave up her last flour and oil to the prophet, or when you're going through something horrific and sad and awful, but you take the time to call and encourage your friend, or pause in your prayers, lifting up your concerns and worries and cares, and you pause to pray for your friend whose family member has cancer, or to lift up their daughter or son who's just going through season and they need prayer, nothing makes the enemy more mad, because that's God's heart. Opposite of selfishness. It's just loving God's people the way you know God loves you, and pouring it out onto someone else. And let's do something good for somebody else and make the enemy so mad today. Hope you do it. I'm gonna do it.
Wow, you guys. Hola. Okay. So he is spoking out. He has been speaking out. And on May 2nd, he said, the greatest wife, husband speaks out after Myrtle Beach woman passes away in North Carolina. Major Damian McLean and the Robeson County Sheriff's Office said they are actively investigating the death of 30-year-old Mica Miller. The sheriff's office confirmed Miller died last weekend at Lumber River State Park in the Orem community of Robeson County. Beautiful heart. McLean added officers are in the process of gathering information from people in South Carolina and North Carolina as part of their investigation into how she died. He said at this point, the investigation has not revealed any information that indicates there's a danger to the community following her death. Part of her obituary reads, Mica was energetic, affirming, adventurous, faithful, loving, giving, forgiving, talented, joyous, creative, assertive, bold, determined, authoritative, passionate, hardworking, a risk taker, and so much more. She is survived by her husband, Pastor John Paul Miller of Myrtle Beach. ABC 15 talked with him last Thursday about Mica. She was probably the greatest wife anyone could ask for. She was incredibly affirming. We spent every night together for hours just talking and talking. He said her death was a self-unaliving, but a cause of death has not been confirmed yet by officials. It bothers me that he was out saying things to his congregation, such as she struggled with unaliving before. Each time we would get her through it and take her to the doctor. And we've got through it, and every time she was fine. She even gave a few testimonies here at church, and we have on video. She battled self-unaliving, but God took care of her and she got through it. So this here is his church. So it's been over 6 months that she filed, and he was looking for child support, as was she. So we can assume that he thought because of him being a pastor, he would get the children. Asking everybody to pray for him. Just a beautiful young lady. Lordy, lordy. What are you guys thinking? Did he do this? Are we going to find out that he did this, that he had more to do with this than he really wants us to know? It's very suspicious to me that somebody that was so devout would do something like this, because that's kind of goes against the church at times, does it not?
Good morning and welcome back. Here's an eyebrow raiser. A second Boeing whistleblower, now dead after experiencing a brief illness. This comes after Joshua Dean expressed concern.
Hey, good morning, Guy. Joshua Dean's faded, got pneumonia, and the flying public. He possessed tremendous courage to...
I'm not quite sure what that was all about, but that's not what we want, is it? All righty then. Okay. Boeing whistleblower. Come on. Beautiful wedding picture. Mica Miller's loved ones have noted a strange line in her obituary that says she would praise her husband after every church service, telling him he was the best preacher in the world, even if it was not true. Latest filing was April 16th, and this is in regards to support and maintenance. It's quite amazing to see the everybody picketing in front of that church, all of her supporters. And again, her sister did say not to listen to false stories being shared about Mica. I talked to her multiple times in her final week here on Earth. Mika's friend wrote on Facebook she was making plans to get her hair cut, getting help with her car payment because she was a little short after paying her divorce lawyer, and planning to meet us for the second service at church on Sunday. My final text with her on Friday at 9:19 p.m. was a woman making plans to live. It just, to me, is not... Let's see here. It's not what somebody who is devout. It doesn't sit right with me. Let's see if we can get some sound here.
Instead, I'm going to have you stand up and I'm going to...
I'll refresh this and see if we can get it right from the beginning.
And after giving his sermon, this pastor makes a bizarre announcement.
We're not going to do an altar call today. Instead, I'm going to have you stand up and I'm going to make an announcement. And after the announcement, I'm going to ask that you leave church quietly and don't talk about the announcement. I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away. And yeah, it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina.
This is Pastor John Paul Miller of Solid Rock at the Market Common Church in South Carolina. As you heard, the pastor said that his wife, Mica Miller, did this herself. But there are a few things that the pastor failed to mention, like this. According to reports, the pastor was served with divorce papers just 48 hours before. And take a look at this. Weeks prior to her death, Mica uploaded a series of videos suggesting there was abuse.
I've had a lot of women that have reached out to me about situations of abuse. And I just want to tell you what a lot of people have told me. Male or female, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what gender you are. Abuse is abuse. And you are the bride of Christ. And my Bible says that he took all the abuse you could think of for you so that you didn't have to live that life of slavery and bondage and pain.
The pastor says Mica struggled with mental health for years. But friends of Mica says there's something more going on.
This has to be at least looked into deeply. There's got to be some accountability here because, it's a tragic life was lost.
Though the pastor has announced the cause of death, investigators have not.
When your world is shook up, you need to take a pause. And I can only pray that more people will take a pause and I'm trying to get my priorities straight right now. And that's making sure that my heart doesn't have any unforgiveness, bitterness, resentment, just forgiveness and hope for the future and peace. Because you can't put a price on peace.
Yeah. Wow. You cannot put a price on peace. So, memorial held to honor woman Mica Miller amid death investigation. So, this is earlier today.
Community in mourning after the unexpected death of a local pastor's wife. ABC 15's Mike Owen has been working for you to learn more about the life and death of Mica Miller. He joins us now live outside their church in Market Common. So, Mike, what have you learned today?
Mica's friends tell me that she led women's ministry and worship right here at Solid Rock Church. While the death investigation is ongoing, her friends can't believe she's gone and they want answers. But her husband tells me she had a long struggle with mental illness. Mica Miller died last week in the Orem community. The investigation into her death started at Lumber River State Park on Saturday.
So we will probably later today see this protest outside the church that we had just seen a few minutes ago. JLR was there, and he's got a couple hours actually of footage from there. And then he was also going out to the state park where this happened. So I'd really like to share this with you all. It gives us a really good view of what people are thinking about what happened here.
Madison County Sheriff's Office says they're actively investigating how the 30-year-old died. Her friends remembering how she lived her life.
She had a heart for missions. When she went to Africa this time, she just fell in love. That was her heart. She'd do anything for anybody.
She's survived by her husband, the pastor at Solid Rock Church in Myrtle Beach. He says,
even though they were separated and going through what they were going through, why is he speaking the way he is? It makes no sense to me. He was acting like there was just no problems.
Mica dreamed of opening up a school in Africa and was always giving to others.
She was probably the greatest wife anyone could ask for. She was incredibly affirming. We spent every night together for hours just talking and talking and talking.
Miller says her death was a suicide, but a cause of death has not been released. But many of her friends are struggling to come to terms with that.
This has to be at least looked into deeply. There's got to be some accountability here because it's a tragic life was lost, and it's not just as simple as somebody had some mental issues.
But Miller says Mica battled mental health issues for years, even speaking openly about it to the congregation.
She had struggled with suicide before, and each time, helped her through it, took her to a doctor, and we got through it, and everything was fine. And she even gave a few testimonies here at church. We have on video of times where she had battled suicide. But
do you guys believe even one word this guy's saying? Like even one word?
But God took care of her and got her through it.
For families dealing with mental health issues, the pastor at Solid Rock Church has a message.
The second you see any type of sign, give them to a doctor. I mean, the second you see it, don't wait.
A memorial for Mica will be held this Sunday at 3 p.m. at Solid Rock Church. A group of her friends will also be meeting there at 9 a.m. to hold a Justice for Mica rally to bring awareness to her struggles. Connor, back to you.
All right, Mike, thank you. We filed FOIA requests with the Robeson County Sheriff's Department and Horry County Police Department for more information on this case.
Horry County community marching for babies.
Lordy, lordy, you guys. Let me see here. Give me just a second here. I want to see what else I can find. There we are. Lordy. Come on. I just think he's full of crap. She just...
Community in mourning after the unexpected death of a local pastor's wife. ABC 15's Mike Owen has been working for...
Sorry, guys.
...you to learn more about the life and death of Mica Miller. He joins us now live outside their church in Market Common. So, Mike, what have you learned today?
Mica's friends tell me that she led women's ministry and worship right here at Solid Rock Church. While the death investigation is ongoing, her friends can't believe she's gone and they want answers. But her husband tells me she had a long struggle with mental illness. Mica Miller died last week in the Orem community. The investigation into her death started at Lumber River State Park on Saturday. The Robeson County Sheriff's Office says they're actively investigating how the 30-year-old died. Her friends remembering how she lived her life.
She had a heart for missions. When she went to Africa this time, she just fell in love. That was her heart. She'd do anything for anybody.
She's survived by her husband, the pastor at Solid Rock Church in Myrtle Beach. He says Mica dreamed of opening up a school in Africa and was always giving to others.
She was probably the greatest wife anyone could ask for. She was incredibly affirming.
Does anybody else find the way he's talking right there extremely sus? They were going through a divorce and were kind of arguing back and forth at this point. And he's literally making it sound like they were together, in my opinion, and that everything was just like hunky-dory. It was going the way it should. I don't know, buddy. I think you're sus as L.
We spent every night together for hours, just talking and talking and talking.
You have led me through the fire.
Miller says her death was a suicide, but a cause of death has not been released. But many of her friends are struggling to come to terms with that.
This has to be at least looked into deeply. There's got to be some accountability here because it's a tragic life was lost, and it's not just as simple as somebody had some mental issues.
But Miller says Mica battled mental health issues for years, even speaking openly about it to the congregation.
She had struggled with us.
Again, he's going to be talking about her mental health issues. Why would somebody do this? Try and say what a great wife she was, and then basically tell people the worst possible things that was going on inside of her. And how would he know this 6 months later?
Suicide before, and each time, helped her through it, took her to her doctor, and we got through it, and everything was fine. And she even gave a few testimonies here at church. We have on video of times where she had battled suicide, but God took care of her and got her through it.
For families dealing with mental health issues, the pastor at Solid Rock Church has a message.
The second you see any type of sign, get them to.
Yeah, yada yada, buddy. Okay, so this here is Mica Acacia. Did I say that middle name? Miller, age 30. I'll boost this up a bit. Oh, look at this. Oh, that's not the one. Oh, look at that. Just beautiful. That's the one. Mica Miller obituary. Mica Acacia Miller, 30, of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, passed away on Saturday, April 27th, 2024. Born on March 7th, 1994, in Wichita, Kansas, a daughter of Michael Francis and Angelita Ramirez. She is survived by her husband, Pastor John Paul of Myrtle Beach, stepchildren Logan, Zachary, Ellie, Asher, and Saleha, one brother, Nate Francis, and his wife, Victoria, 4 sisters, Anna Francis, Sierra Brown, and husband, Matt, Abby Francis, and Destiny Barrientos, the husband, and husband, Nicholas. Barrientos? Mica was energetic, affirming, adventurous, faithful, loving, giving, forgiving, talented, joyous, creative, assertive, bold, determined, authoritative, passionate, hardworking, a risk taker, and so much more. She and JP had been friends since 2009, married in 2017, and spent almost every single night and day together. Mica loved her little dog Loki. She loved challenge, even if it was being a vegan for an entire year. Mica was a great stepmother, an amazing wife and leader, women's ministry leader, and pastor's assistant, as she did all of this with the utmost integrity and faithfulness. Mica made the greatest of efforts to always be the best wife she could be. She truly served Jesus and her husband with all of her heart. She would praise her husband after every church service, telling him he was the best preacher in the world, even if it wasn't true. She also told him he was the funniest preacher in the world, even though that wasn't true either. Mica loved her family so much. She looked forward to every text and her father and brother. She sought every opportunity to pour into her sisters. There were thousands of nights that she would pray out loud for God to always bless and take care of her family. They were constantly on her mind. Mica wanted more than anything for each member of her family to serve Jesus continually. Mica loved her ice bath, ew, nice car, sauna, house, etc. But more than anything on earth was her desire to see people come to Jesus. A celebration of Mica's life will be held at 3 p.m. Sunday, today, May 5th, at Solid Rock Market Common and then it gives the address. The family has requested that memorial donations be made to a sponsor of Child Africa. Condolences may be made, and it gives that. You can send flowers and the tribute wall. Wow. Doesn't say that she had any kids other than her dog Loki. Just trying to see. I'm looking to see if I can find. SC pastor uses service to tell church his wife died by self-unaliving. Family says she filed for a no contact order and divorce. So although he's, loved him, he's saying, and would never speak out against him, always said what a great man he was. The family is not backing that up. John Paul Miller, the founder and pastor at Solid Rock at Market Common in Myrtle Beach, made a shocking announcement at the end of last Sunday's worship. He told them that his wife, Mica Miller, had died from unaliving herself. They were married in 2017, a marriage that provided her with 5 stepchildren, and describes her family as ones that have a heart to love God and love people. She is described as a great stepmother and amazing wife by the pastor John Paul. Mica was the worship leader, graphics designer, youth leader, women's ministry leader, and pastor's assistants. And she did this with integrity and faithfulness. She would praise her husband after every church. Sounds like maybe this man needs a little bit of coddling. We're not going to do altar call today. Instead, I'm going to have you stand up and I'm going to make an announcement. And after the announcement, I'm going to ask that you leave the church quietly and don't talk about the announcement here in the building. So I want us to see this.
We're not going to do an altar call today. Instead, I'm going to have you stand up and I'm going to make an announcement. And after the announcement, I'm going to ask that you leave church quietly and don't talk about the announcement here in the building, please, if you can. So y'all can stand to your feet.
Stand to your feet.
Before I make the announcement, I also want to say that my request to you is that you will continue to come to church and serve and give for the next, little bit. 'Cause I don't want to I'm taking a little bit of a break and I don't want to have to worry about the church. My break may be a few days, a few weeks. I don't know. I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away. And yeah, it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina. And we're gonna have a funeral for her next Sunday here at 3 p.m. And so it's all I can. Yeah, I'm just kind of going on adrenaline right now. So y'all pray for me and my kids and
Adrenaline.
everybody. And she wasn't. Y'all knew that she wasn't well mentally, and that she needed her medicine that was hard to get to her. And so I'm sure there'll be more details to come. But just keep our family in your prayers. And I'm going to let Pastor Randall, my bishop, he can pray. I'll give him a microphone. He'll pray out. And if you have anything you want to share as well, I appreciate it.
Come on, let's pray.
Yeah. So what is that, you guys? What is that? Do you guys think that there is a few red flags here? I'm seeing quite a few. And I think her family is seeing quite a few. Yeah, I don't know this one, I guess. But I think he also might unalive people too. So not quite sure what that's all about. Some of these people just think that they're so much smarter, they're so much better, that they can do the most horrendous things and get away with it. So if in fact this man did do this, he needs to be locked up. I mean, what the hell? Yeah, I'm sure a lot of them are pretty comfortable in their jeans and their regular duds. I think it's a little surprising when a person's so used to seeing them all decked out. So what do you guys think? Are you interested in seeing them picketing and what's being said outside of that church? Because if so, I will do another stream showing you what JLR was seeing this morning. I'm sure I haven't looked at it myself. I just kind of scanned the very beginning of it, and I thought that it was relatively interesting. And if we do that next, there's a good chance we'll be able to, well, if they're televising it or streaming it, I would like to show you that as well, but I don't know if they'll stream it. It sounds like maybe not. Sounds like maybe it might just be in the church. Yeah, some do wear their Sunday best, and then they go out for their tea or whatever after their service, get a little biscuit. He dresses like David Koresh did. Yeah, I don't know, guys. There's a lot of red flags. Everything from his behavior. They're saying that there's possibly a girlfriend that he's been spotted around town with. I don't know what I think of that with everything he's saying about what a great wife she was. And then he's got a girlfriend a couple days later. So it's just sketchy AF. Let's see here. Community rallies in memory. Hashtag justice for Mica. A friend reached out to me the other day with the idea of doing a fundraiser for Mica Miller. Oh, okay, Francis family, not the Miller family. Okay, so they're even to the point where they are so suspicious they don't even want her to be known by her married name. So Mica Francis. Palmetto Tide Design Company, screen printing, and more are selling T-shirts in memory of Mica. They're working to have the shirts ready for pickup and delivered by Saturday, so that's yesterday. And I suppose that was for everyone to wear today. And they do have shipping. And there has been a GoFundMe set up, which you can find here. I'm going to add that into our description. Okay, I've got that in there. So I'm probably going to leave this here for now, guys. There's a bit to do. I really do want to see what was going on in front of that church this morning. So I don't know if we'll watch the entire video, but we'll absolutely be looking at some of it, and relatively soon. Yeah, filed. She had filed for divorce like 6 months ago. So, guys, thanks for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, hit that bell, and that way you are not going to miss any further streams coming up. And like I said, keep an eye out for what was going on as far as that protest went in front of the church. I am finding that relatively interesting based on some of the things we're learning at this point. So I appreciate you guys, every single one of you, and I'm going to see you really soon in the next one. Bye.